Good afternoon, students and future aviators alike. We are Airbus One and who we are. So let's talk a little bit about who we are for a minute. We are a group of aviators. It's myself, Chris, Daniel, and Francisco. And we are, like I said, we're a group of aviators, and we heard that you guys all have an interest in aviation. So that's why we came down to you today. We're going to talk to you about 4 principles of flight and how they intertwined to keep an aircraft in the air. And the goal of our lecture today is to just inform you on these principles of flight and spark your interest a little bit more in aviation, and maybe help you out in figuring out, what field you possibly want to go into, whether that may be propulsion or just aerospace and flying or aerodynamics. Um, it might help you out today. So now that you know what we're going to talk to you about, let's get right into our first principle, and that is drag. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about drag. So drag is one of the more simple principles, other than thrust, lift, and weight, which we're going to talk about here in a minute. Drag is simply the friction against an aircraft that is opposing thrust. So sciencelearn.org defines drag as exactly that. It's the force working against thrust is called drag. It is caused by air resistance and acts in the opposite direction to the motion. The amount of drag depends on the shape of the object, the density of the air, and the speed of the object. So you can compare drag to an aircraft as you can to drag on a car. So, if you're driving on the highway at 75 miles an hour, if you've ever rolled your windows down to catch a breeze, you hear and feel that wind blowing against your car. It's the same thing in an aircraft. So when you take off, your engines produce thrust and slowly lift the aircraft up, and along with all the other principles of aerodynamics, get you off of the ground. Now, that air that's blowing against the aircraft that's opposing thrust, that is called drag. So the more drag you have and the less thrust, you're going to lose speed. And vice versa, the more thrust you have with less friction or drag, the faster you're going to go. So pretty easy principle. Now that you know a little bit about drag, let's move right on into thrust, and Daniel's going to talk to you about thrust.